Hey everybody, Zach again at NewTutorial.com. Wanted to come in and do a video for you. You know, this has been a crazy week. There has been a lot that's happened in the last week, and going through some of these news stories, and most of you out there have probably heard about what happened to Eddie Chumney and his parents. Very tragic. Eddie Chumney, if you don't know, is a Hebraic roots scholar, and he is out there teaching a lot of people about the Torah. Has a lot of good teachings. I've gained a lot of knowledge and information from some of the things that he has taught on, especially two-house thinking. And so, definitely one of the people out there who's trying to be, a scholar among us and to show others some of the hidden meanings of Torah. And so, interestingly enough, his parents were kidnapped and they were killed this last week, and it was just a shock to a lot of the people who know Eddie, who heard about the story, and our prayers go out to him and his family. And so it's just another example of the crazy world we live in, and in these last days. And this coming out with some of the other news stories that came out this week, it's insane, the world that we live in. And a lot of us have to look back as we're watching all of this unfold before our eyes. A lot of us get disheartened and we cry out to our Father, and we just ask for understanding. We don't understand what's going on. I don't understand what's going on. I mean, I do, but I see this. I see some of this for what it is, but at the same time, it's painful to watch. And let me share some of these other stories here with you. There was a story this past week, of an Arkansas family where 7 children were kidnapped by the Arkansas government Sheriff's Department, under the authority of the Department of Homeland Security, because the father owned a mineral supplement. The father owned a mineral supplement, and it was supposedly an anonymous call placed to the Sheriff's Department that this father had a dangerous supplement in the home, and they came out and searched the home under a search warrant, and under the authority of the Department of Homeland Security, I believe, took the kids away. 7 children. This is a homeschooling family. It looks like a good Christian family. I don't know their religious background at all, but it seems like they do have some sort of religious authority, morality that they adhere to. And they were taken. And this is a rural part of the country. Okay, this is not somewhere in the big city, where you have to worry about some of the crazy rules. And it is insane. And it was just... And so they're trying to get their kids back. I don't know what the result's going to be, but supposedly they've had visitation rights of this family. Just another crazy story. And a lot of people, who like us, who homeschool our kids, and who it's worrisome to a lot of people when we see the government getting this out of control, that it's taking people's children because of a supposed mineral supplement that you can go to a lot of stores, over brick and mortar stores, and purchase over the counter. It's a legal item that you can purchase over the counter, and they took their kids away for it. It's kind of crazy. And so then you've got this other story that came out this week. A man who basically fathered a girl during prom night back in the 1980s or whatever. Back in the, I don't know, whatever day it was. Basically, he had a relationship with a woman who fathered a child who was a girl, his daughter, and they were estranged for a number of years. They met up when the girl was 18, supposedly, and now they are in a relationship, the father and the daughter, an incestual relationship. And the father and the daughter, they're from Michigan, have decided to move to New Jersey, where an adult incestual relationship is legal, and they plan on having a lot of kids. They said they're going to have a big family. And what world do we live in where I have, this family whose 7 children are taken away because of an over-the-counter mineral supplement that you can buy in all kinds of places, online and in brick-and-mortar buildings, and they take their children away. Meanwhile, we have a father and daughter who've decided they're going to get married, and they're going to move to a state where it's legal to have an incestual relationship and have lots of kids, and people are okay with that. It's legal by the government. Now, there was a councilwoman from New Jersey who decided, she heard about it and we're going to pass a law that make this illegal right away. And so, not everybody's okay with that. But I mean, it's like the world is upside down, really and truly. And I look back at this and I just see some of the things that are going on, and I'm just like, what is going on? And And this is one of the reasons me and my family decided to move out of the city and just get away from the distractions. And I know many of you have desired to do this too. And I get the emails of frustration from a lot of people who say, "Oh, Zach, I wish we could do what you're doing. I wish we could just get out of the city. I wish I could get my family away from this." And I hear the internal struggles in a household because a wife wants to get rid of the TV in the house and the father doesn't want to, or the father does and the wife doesn't, and they see the influence of all these electronic devices and the TVs and all the stuff that's having on their children, and it's just like they're battling this thing, and thank goodness, I'm blessed to have a wife who sees this as well, and we agree that we don't want these things in our house, we don't want these things in our life, and we try to limit the amount of influence the world has on just even us and our children, because we are, as adults, are susceptible to these distractions as well. And I get the emails and I hear the pain. And people ask me what to do, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, where it came down for us is I went to the Father and I prayed on my knees and I said, Father, get us out of here. If you can open up a door to get us out of here, let us get out of here. And it didn't happen overnight. We always looked for opportunities. We looked for where the Lord might guide us, and then we took those opportunities as steps to get out of Babylon because we thought it was that important. And it came to a good amount of cost to us, because we were willing to pay that cost and that price to get out of Babylon and to move out of the city and try to. But even here, I mean, you're not immune to the things of the world. I mean, you can't be. You can't completely close yourself off. And the long arm of the law, if they want. I mean, here's the deal: the feds can get you for anything. Okay. Doesn't matter. The feds can get you for anything. The government can get you for anything they want to. They can make up rules. I heard this week Kent Hovind is facing new charges to keep him in prison. If you don't know who Kent Hovind is, do your own research. But it's someone I deeply admire and respect. And I thought it was insane for the reason that they put him away in the first place. But here, the bottom line is, if they want to put you away, they can put you away for anything. No one is. Here's the deal: you have to put you have to rely on the Father for His protection. And whatever happens, you have to understand that, let it be His will. That's what Job said, bless the name of God, bless the name of the Lord. He gives and takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And so no matter what happens, you have to be thankful and praise our Creator for whatever may happen to you in this life. And it's hard to say that when you hear and see the things that happen to, our brother Eddie and some of these other things that are going on in the world today. It's messed up. Our world is messed up. It's crazy because I go back and I look at some of the things that it talks about in the end times, and we read Isaiah about the times back when the Hebrews were basically turning their back on the Lord. And it says, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, and put darkness for light and light for darkness, and put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." We are in those times where people are calling good evil and evil good. I mean, it's completely reversed. And this was a time back when these people who were ignoring the Father and the Creator and ignoring His commandments and His Torah, and were going after other gods and doing pagan practices and mingling pagan practices with practices that were righteous, and the Father was going to put down His punishment. But over and over again, we have this hope at the end of these doom and gloom scenarios throughout the prophets of Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel that at one point He's going to bring us back. And if you look at the end of chapter 5, it's all about bringing those people back that He's going to scatter, that He's going to punish. Even so that their footwear doesn't wear out. And it says that. And that's exactly what we see in the first Exodus. We're waiting for that second greater Exodus. I talk about it often on my channel. Then we go, and people ask me, Zach, are we sure we're living in the end days? Is this really the end times? Yeah, I think we're in the end times. I mean, I think what you're seeing in the news and what you're seeing of all this stuff that's going on in the world today is evident of the end times. I go back to, let's look at 2 Timothy. Chapter 3, verse 1. "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, and boasters, and proud, and blasphemers, and disobedient to parents, unthankful, and unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, and despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away." And so you read about these, and the next verse is talking about those who have diverse lust. You know, the lust of the world today is so diverse, and there are so many things that people put over God, you know, and over our Creator, and that's what we live in today. You can look at the world, our nation and other nations, and see that right there. And so, and if I was to really give you, there's all kinds of verses, folks, that we can turn to give you evidence that we are living in the last days. The two biggest ones I always go back to is Deuteronomy 30, the first two verses. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord thy God has driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children and all thine heart and with all thy soul. Folks, there's going to come a time where Israel, who was punished, who was scattered among the nations because of their disobedience, that we're going to call to mind the Torah, the instructions, the commandments that he gave us back at Sinai, that Moses commanded us to keep throughout all of our generations. That's evidence of the last days we're living in. These are the things that are happening right now. There are people coming out of the woodwork who are coming back to Torah from all kinds of denominations, and even atheists who are discovering Torah. It's an awakening that's happening. And so that's prophecy that we're living right now. Let me go to Daniel chapter 12. This is another big one. But you, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. This is huge. This is a big, huge piece of evidence, I believe, and showing us that we're living in the last days. People will travel to and fro. Folks, I can get on a plane today and in 24 hours be in some of the most remote parts of the other side of the world. You know, for China, for example. I can go on a plane and in 24 hours be somewhere, anywhere in China, really, in some of the remote parts of China. I can get on a plane, land at an airport in Shanghai or in Beijing, and get in a car, get in a taxi, and just drive somewhere and pay people to take me in some of the most remote. That's crazy. Folks, you know, if you get on a plane, and if you get a window seat on a plane and you look out that window, you are seeing something that 99.9999% of all the people who have ever existed on this planet have never seen. Isn't that amazing to you? That you are witnessing something that almost everybody who has ever existed in the history of the planet has never seen. You're looking down it from 30,000 feet. There's got to be something prophetic about that in the Bible. Well, there is. It's Daniel chapter 12, verse 4. People will travel to and fro. There's no other way. You can, whether or not you believe the moon landings or not, but, people are really traveling to and fro. We do have a space station. I mean, you can see that with your telescope. So, what the moon landings or not, you can see the space. People are traveling to and fro. There's no other way you're going to find a better definition of that down the road. Okay, compared to the people who wrote that at the time of Daniel. The time Daniel wrote that, people will travel to and fro. It says, hey, close up the book until the times when people are traveling to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. I did videos on this before. It was an amazing... I was going to a Baptist church. The Baptist church, this is after Torah, and I knew Torah, and I was invited back to the Baptist church that I was originally born and raised in, and they were having a study on a book called The 5,000 Year Leap. And it was amazing to me in a number of ways because there was a Baptist church who was studying a book written by a Mormon apologetics teacher, name of Skousen, Cleon Skousen, and who's, by the way, the father of Joel Skousen, if you've ever heard of him. And anyway, the book, The 5,000 Year Leap, really promoted by Glenn Beck, if you've ever heard of him on the radio. The 5,000 Year Leap was written by a Mormon apologetics teacher who recognized the fact, this is true, that we have accomplished more in the last 100 years than the rest of humanity has combined in 5,000. I mean, let's just say the biblical flood happened 4,500 years ago or thereabouts, give or take, rough an estimate, almost 5,000 years ago. And in the last 100 years, we have accomplished more than the last 5,000 years combined in humanity. Knowledge shall be increased. Knowledge has increased. And what boggled my mind was that I don't believe, when I was studying this book, that he ever put Daniel 12:4 together with that fact. Folks, we're living in the last days. I truly believe that. And, there's Mormon what do you call it, eschatology that pairs that up with whole lot of other crazy ideas that are not biblical whatsoever. But the fact remains, we have accomplished in humanity more in the last 100 years than the last 5,000 combined. And the last time humanity basically was at a point where it could do anything despite language, because everyone was unified in language. Because today, really, English is a language, and humanity today can almost do anything. God stepped in, and that was at the Tower of Babel. So, are we at a point where the Tower of Babel a Tower of Babel moment is going to happen again? Or are we at a place in time when the Father is about to step in and, exert some control over His creation? I believe that's true. I believe, we're about to see that, and verses like Daniel 12:4 and Deuteronomy 30 verse 1 and 2, where people are waking up to Torah and the world is in a state of lawlessness as it is, and the fact that we are, Rob Skiba has a really, I mentioned this in another video. Rob, if you're out there, let me just throw this out at you and whoever is listening. Rob's got a good teaching on the Pyramid of Giza. I got a lot of questions about it. Not sure I agree with everything in it yet, but it's very good. And what caught my mind is that, having the understanding that we have encountered a 5,000 year leap, and that Rob makes a very good argument in that maybe that sarcophagus or whatever that box is that's inside the king's chamber, inside the Pyramid of Giza, may in fact have held at one point the 365 books of Enoch, which is extra biblical, I get it. But all of this knowledge, is it possible that sometime in the last century or two, 3 or 4 centuries ago, maybe, that these books were recovered and maybe traveled around the earth, passed hands a number of different places before they finally ended up in the hands of somebody in the modern era who basically exploited that knowledge of those books, and that's what we have here today, this 5,000 year leap that's taken place. Is that possible? I don't know, but I think Rob makes a good argument on that teaching about the Pyramid of Giza and those books of knowledge and what happened there. I don't know if it's all true. I have some questions about it. Going to pick Rob's brain at some point soon, maybe on this channel or wherever. But it's a good argument. And if the 5,000 year leap, which it's obvious that's happened in the last 100 years or so, that we've had this 5,000 year leap, and that knowledge has increased, and that people are traveling to and fro, and Daniel 12:4 equates the two together for being in the same time frame. Wow, that's to me, that's really something that gets my attention. Folks, we're in the last days. I don't care who you are, and you can stick your head in the sand if you want to, but it's real easy, I think, for us to really get beat down by the things that are happening, the craziness we see in the world. What I guess I should leave you with is have hope that there's going to be a greater exodus. Have hope that you or your children may see it. And I think it's very likely that us and our children may see it. And I'm praying for that. I want to see that exodus. I want to see that return to the land. I want to see the fulfillment. I want to see the fulfillment of the prophecy of the promise that was given to Jacob and his sons. It's going to happen. We are going to inherit the land. Jacob and his sons, Israel, will inherit the land at some point. He's going to call to mind those who he's cast off, and those people are going to return at some point. I want to see it. All right, we'll leave it at that. Go home, read your Bible. Thanks.